Good afternoon, everyone. I am Praveen Kumar Goyal, and I am thankful to ETAB and particularly to Mr. Hugo for giving us this opportunity to share our experience of ADMS implementation in Noida Power Company Limited. This presentation slide deck has been divided into three portions. Only a single slide which talks about our company profile. Second one is related to what is ADMS, and third one is how ADMS has enabled us to do the predictive planning. NPCL belongs to a group which is called RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. You can see the another logo over here, which reflects RP Sanjeev Goenka Group. This group has the presence in multiple segments, including media, healthcare, electricity and power, carbon black, etc., etc. So basically, in NPCL, we started our operations way back in December '93. It was the first ever experience in post-independent era by Government of India to do the privatization. We are having presently about 104,000 connections, and out of these connections, 40% connections are under the rural segment. We have served a peak load of 450 megawatt last year, and this year we are expecting it to touch at about 550 megawatt. It is a licensed business, and our licensed area is 335 square kilometer. This area is located very near to country capital New Delhi, and it is very fast developing an industrial township. In fact, in our licensed area boundary, another world-class airport greenfield project is coming up, which is going to be the largest airport in Asia. Over the years, we have successfully contained the T&D losses at 8%, though this figure may be a bit appear to a bit higher for few of the persons, but in India it is a major problem, and we have successfully contained it at around 8%. We are the first power distribution company which has achieved successfully ISO certification, OSAS certification, and on the IT security side, IS 27001 certification. Our contribution has been duly recognized by the fraternity. In fact, the ministry equivalent to the secretariat in USA, they have also recognized, and we are the winner of multiple awards, including the gold and silver shields for our meritorious performance in the rural distribution. So now I will talk about our experience, our understanding of the ADMS system, which is divided into two parts, as I have already mentioned. So in the first part, if we see what is ADMS. So for ADMS, there are different components, and ADMS basically comprises of two things, DMS and OMS, distribution management system and outage management system. Few entities also called it as IDMS, Intelligent Distribution Management System. It has multiple modules such as switching order management, mobility management, outage management, real-time and historic data repository, as well as to do certain simulation over it, control systems, both at substation level as well as at the field device level, to do the state estimation, particularly for the nodes or for the devices where we don't have the actual devices installed. Fault localization, isolation, and system restoration. It is say another step to really advance our control system journey, wherein we can restore the supply even after a faulty condition sitting from the control room itself. It also does the topology analysis, and reconfiguration of network analysis features are also available. So why any utility, or why we had gone ahead to implement it? What were the drivers for us? So obviously, we talk about that the grid should be a resilient one. We have to give affordable, continuous, and quality power supply to our customers. There are a lot of emphasis over past many years, now almost a decade, wherein the renewable energy contribution in the overall power portfolio should be enhanced to combat with the greenhouse gases emission and related related damages to the environment, which should be minimized and then ultimately overcome. So we require to do a lot of distributed energy resources integration with our network. Obviously, it is a regulatory business, and we have to also comply with the regulatory requirements. And in today's era, we see that the technologies are becoming very obsolete very fast. So earlier technologies, whatsoever we were having, those obviously had become obsolete. For this purpose, only one of the thought process was to give the visibility to our engineers, both at field level as well as at the control room level. So operations visibility was there, and it has really provided multiple benefits such as improved reliability and resiliencies, optimized network operations, increased energy efficiency and quality, as we are also monitoring the, for example, harmonic parameters, reduced overall total cost of ownership, and also deferred our capital investment, if not one can say reduced. But certainly it has helped to defer our capital investment, which otherwise might have been required to incur. So if we see what is the difference between a traditional grid as well as the transformed grid, in the traditional grid, or we can say before adoption of the ADMS, there were manual methodology, manual driven approaches which were adopted for both management purposes as well as optimization, visualization. Then there were manual outage restorations. Obviously, when we cannot monitor and measure, so there was no optimization. And it was also lacking the operations visibility. But after the ADMS implementation, it has really helped us to do the transformation. And now we have much more deep down data available. We have everything systemic controlled. We can do the measurement, we can do the monitoring, and we can also do various things automatically, such as automatic outage restoration, etc., etc. So grid analytics, which is obviously based on the data, which is getting reposited on very granular time interval level basis, it has helped us to provide quality and reliable energy delivery to the customers. And obviously, we had to take, or we are taking preventive as well as other measures to make our grid more resilient, so that faults are minimized and we can continuously deliver the quality supply to our customers. So if we see from other perspective, what is that it has helped us in the business side, it has certainly helped us for doing the business easily. It provides us a bird eye view or helicopter view of our entire distribution network on real-time basis. We have various applications such as DMS, OMS, which works on GIS data, and for that purpose, synchronized model across all applications are available, though it is a bit manual process. It has helped us to facilitate historic data, real-time and forecasted data for better analysis purpose. Faster outage responses, obviously, we have manpower, which is very much mobile for various purposes. And if I see it from OMS parlance, then mobile workforce to restore the power supply, and for that purpose we have to do the crew management, where the crew is available in the field, and accordingly redirect or provide certain other directions to the crew to restore the power supply in an uh, uh, in a more timely manner. And it has already been mentioned that it also helped us to do the DER integration, and it has really created a platform where through which we can do multiple other applications implementation in the company. So it is a future readiness journey. As we all know that novel coronavirus COVID-19 had come somewhere in the month of March last year, that is 2020, and almost every country was subjected to enforce the lockdown conditions. But electricity being the essential services, so we had to provide the electricity on 24/7 basis. Our movement in the field was also restricted, but it was allowed to the minimum possible. And we had deployed manpower in the field. Uh, if we were not having this system along with the SCADA system, it would not have been possible for us to manage our operations and also provide the continuous power supply to our customers. So those customers, we are also a customer. So every customer was doing the work from home, maybe in the IT industry or somewhere else. So electricity was essential for them. And we are proud to say that with the help of this particular application or suites of applications, we have really sailed through smoothly out of this COVID-19 situation, lockdown condition. Because of the things such as remote monitoring, intelligent load shedding, self-healing grid, freezer, appropriate demand forecasting, because the power at overall level was power requirement at overall level was reduced drastically. So we had to procure a lesser amount of or lesser quantum of power to manage our operations. And obviously, as the things are automated, so human intervention was reduced. It also helped us to communicate to our consumers about the expected restoration time, which was given only by the system itself. It all has resulted into the customer satisfaction, for which we also received few communication from our customer end. ADMS enabled predictive planning. How really ADMS has helped us to do the predictive planning. Firstly, if we see this weighing machine on the left hand side, so without ADMS and with ADMS, everything was manual. We were not able to have the proper demand planning. We were not having the proper topology processing. But after implementation of ADMS, we have the proper demand planning, correct topology processing, and power of data, intelligent load shedding, switching sequence management, and there are various other features which has really helped us to gain the benefits. At the same point of time, it has helped us to do the overall operation and maintenance cost reduction by virtue of centralized operations, unmanned substations, bidirectional communication. It all can, one say, a part of the SCADA system, but at the field device level, when we are coming, then freezer and self-healing grid becomes important for localization, isolation, supply restoration. And another advanced version is self-healing. In the fault localization, isolation, supply restoration scheme, one has to really do the switching on the system so that faulty sections can be isolated, and through the alternate sources supplied to the entire consumer base can be restored. But in the self-healing grid, there is no requirement of any human intervention. Field crew management, switching optimization, all has helped really to reduce the cost. For example, field crew, otherwise we might have to increase the field manpower, which through optimization, through having the real-time data related to the field crew available, we were able to do the cost reduction. So this has really translated into the overall enhancement in the reliability. There are total 9 blocks. There may be many more blocks, but these 9 blocks are of a bit importance. If I start with the bottommost right corner one, then it is the GIS ERP integrated business process. Nothing directly to do with the ADMS implementation, but it has created the much needed platform, and through this platform we are in a position to do our GIS data update in a quality manner, uh, uh, timely, and that GIS data is also useful for calculating or for doing the overall life management of any particular asset. The other features of DMS applications are network reconfiguration, through which we can do the loss minimization on the one side, and also do the load balancing on the other side. Network reconfiguration for load balancing, it is a part of it, or it can be separately handled within the overall applications theme. Intelligent load shedding for grid discipline, for example, if frequency reduced below a threshold value, then we have the regulatory requirement to switch off the feeders. Similarly, the another threshold point which can be set is the overloading conditions. And if, say, power transformer overloading condition is set at 95%, Then few of the feeders are automatically shed by this application in case the overall load exceeds that particular threshold limit here, 95%. We have already talked about the Fleaser switching sequence. Then the volt bar optimization, it is a very beautiful application. It has helped us to do the optimization of our reactive power, because on reactive power drawal also, when the grid frequency is low, every utility is subjected to incur some cost by virtue of the penalty mechanism prevailing, and it has helped us to do the proper optimization for our reactive power, as well as it has helped to ensure that our tail end location consumer is getting the proper voltage profile. On the OMS side, our OMS system is integrated on the one side with the GIS system, on the other side with the SCADA and DMS system, and on the other third side with our CRM and IVRS system. So any complaint is firstly getting landed onto the CRM system and then coming to the OMS system, because consumer can also log the complaint for other purposes, and as OMS can handle only outage related complaints, so we thought that we should provide the same experience to the consumer, and the consumer need not to dial any other number even for the supply outage related complaints. If I click over here on the intelligent load shedding, you can see it has the feature which has provided this optimal fast load shedding based on actual operating conditions of the system. It is a real-time one, and it does not require any human intervention. We can create multiple schedules. We can create the schedules based on the time basis. Suppose if we want to the load shedding only for, say, in the 2 time blocks, in morning and evening, then we can also define accordingly, and for rest of the time block this system will not consider. And it is very user friendly. User himself or herself can define load priority, group, control routing, macros, etc. This SLE, system load estimation, I have already mentioned that it provides almost the values at any node or any device which is going to provide the analog values such as voltage, current, etc. Through this application, and particularly it is helpful when we are not having those devices available in the field, because practically it is not possible to have all the devices metered or equipped with such kind of facilities. And it also prompt and help to do the segregation of bad data, and also prompt if it founds any error into it. Real-time simulation is another example wherein I can take the snapshot of the real-time data and then do the simulation for any of the study-related modules. In this line and cable sizing, it helps to decide the optimal size of cable depending upon the present loading conditions as well as the future loading condition. And for arriving at the future loading condition, I can do the model update in the study mode, and then the system itself will take care and provide that what should be the optimal cable and conductor size. This UBLF unbalanced short circuit studies, it helped to design the protection arrangement or protection scheme, and accordingly helped us to decide on the protective devices about their rating, about their fault current carrying capacity, etc. at different network node level. So load flow studies is a given thing in today's era, and I think everyone knows that it requires a model, and that model is here our real data, which is a replicated one, which is a digital twin, and it is not a manually driven model, and that's why it gives the better results. We do the computation of our technical losses both at 33 kV voltage level as well as 11 kV voltage level using this particular load flow studies module. Switching optimization, again, it helped in the cost saving, because if I am in a position to do the switching optimization and in a position to allocate the load almost equally on every feeder, then obviously the overall losses are less, and that's why it helped to do the cost saving. On coming to the next slide, on the process side, switching sequence management, I have already talked about it. Basically, it allows the dispatcher to build, test, and simulate a complete switching sequence using a graphical user interface and execute the switching plan all in one step. So here in this particular module, we have to firstly define the switching sequence. A very basic example is such that in on-load condition, my isolator should not be switch off. Uh, Firstly, we have to do the switching off of the circuit breaker, then only of the isolator. So those kind of all the switching sequence related operations, including finally making the earth of every conducting element on which a particular person has to do the work. Up to that point of time, it has to be defined in the system, and similarly, the process steps to restore back the supply has to be defined in the system. But it is a one-time exercise, and after that, everyone has to follow it, and it really helped to enhance our security and security-related processes. And that's why it has come into the facilitation category. Load allocation, it considers the data, metadata, which is available at a time granularity of 15 minutes and 30 minutes, and based on that, it do the load allocation for all the points where the actual quantum of load data is not available. And after doing the load allocation, we can run the load flow studies, which are going to give the result uh, almost equivalent to in case the actual load data is available. Why I am saying so? Because we have done this exercise on the same network with the same sort of consumers without load allocation and with load allocation. In without load allocation, actual data was there. This what if scenario in this particular module, as the name suggests, we can create multiple scenarios and then decide for various things. For example, planning. I really need to do the network reconductoring of a particular feeder to meet the increasing load demand, or do I require to create a altogether new feeder from the substations, or to give a new service connection, say particularly if I talk about particularly to a LT low tension voltage level consumer, then do I require to place another distribution transformers like that. So as after doing this, all the analysis, the results are coming, we can take the informed decision. So here on the quality side, harmonic and transit analysis, as I mentioned, we are doing capturing the harmonic data, and based on that, that data is utilized inside the module wherein this harmonic related model is created, and it gives us the insight about the present condition related to the harmonic, and also help us to design to put the appropriate filter, so that within the allowable disturbance level we can provide the supply to our customers. If um, every utility or every company is working to provide better consumer services and also to empower the customer in this digital era, and this implementation has also helped us not only for the empowering of our customers, but also to create a satisfaction, and beyond that satisfaction, on some extents delight to our customers. Why customers are satisfied or delighted? Because we have now enhanced power quality because of the proper planning of system. We have reduced O&M cost, which is ultimately reflected onto the tariff. We have reduced network restoration time. If say earlier a particular complaint was getting resolved in 2 hours, now it is getting resolved much earlier. Proper power planning led reduced outages. If we are having say inadequate power available, then obviously we have to restore to the load shedding. And at the same point of time, if we are having more power, then either we have to sell that power to the exchange at a reduced rate. Uh, in both the cases, customers is going to be a sufferer, either in terms of not getting the electricity supply or paying more. And automatic ERT over IVR, customers really appreciate all such advancements by the company. Uh, we also believe that it is a competitive world, though it is a monopolistic business, but our government is also trying to open up it for competition. And obviously in the competition, the survival of the fittest, it is always there as per the Darwin's theory. And we are always ahead to implement the advanced technologies. We are going to now implement AMI and MDMS. One can say why we have not implemented AMI or MDMS earlier. I would like to mention over here that we did implement the AMI, but it is not at the company-wide scale. It is to meet a very, very specific requirement. We thought that firstly we should go ahead with the GIS-led implementations such as ADMS, SCADA, uh, etc. And after that, for the AMI, because it is a journey and every investment has necessarily translates into the tariff, and that tariff increase can really give a shock to the consumer. So that's why we have to embark upon this journey and gradually do the implementations. For all purposes, cybersecurity for our OT operations technology becomes imperative, important along with the IT. For IT, we are having CISO cybersecurity cell, and now along with the IT team, we are enhancing our capabilities for OT related cybersecurity space. AI and big data analytics, we have the data, we have the data repository. We are also creating various reports. Now we want to go ahead to do the implementation of the artificial intelligence based data analytics. Ancillary services like frequency compensation, reactive power compensation, etc., they are also on the anvil to be launched by the government, and we feel that now we are ready to take care of all the regulatory requirements, and if needed to venture into this particular area. Blockchain is another technology where we have to give the proof to our consumers and in an immutable format. And there are, say, a transaction has happened uh, wherein name transfer cases they are, and if we have everything covered through blockchain technology, then the chances of disputes are not going to be there, and if any dispute is there, then this technology will provide all the evidence that company has done nothing wrong. Similarly, this blockchain technology is also going to be useful for peer-to-peer power trading purposes, particularly in the segment of the renewable energy. So thank you. That's all from my side. Thank you once again, Mr. Hugo, for giving me this opportunity. My email address is provided. Anyone can touch base with me on this email, and I will be happy to interact further. Or if any question is there, I am willing to take that once this session is over. Thank you.